Basically since like March or when this quarantine due to the pandemic happened. How has that been for you? How's things been different? How's things been not different? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think that life has been different for pretty much everybody this year, especially. For me, quarantine affected me in that we all had to start working from home at my job. So they sent me home with a laptop, and I got set up, and we were doing telecommuting. So I was doing all my work from home, and for the most part, that wasn't a huge issue because I'm able to do the majority of my work on the computer itself. But it depends on where we are in a project, and sometimes I actually need to be at the facility in order to move things around, do things, build things, stuff like that. So it got to the point in my project that I was on where it was making it really difficult to keep working from home because I really needed to be at the plant and doing things. So right about the same time, the cases started to go down, and people started to feel more comfortable with releasing workers back to facilities and stuff like that. So they said, okay, you can come back and work at the plant again. Just you have to wear a mask every day. And so I've been going to work every day, wearing a mask and working on site. Overall, though, I would say that working from home, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I really thought that I would have liked it because I'm really much a very big introvert, and I like to stay home. Going to the office, though, it seems like it was something that I needed because I kind of got, a little sad, a little bit like, I wouldn't say depressed, but I definitely felt just down more.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that just getting out of the house and having that routine was something that I took for granted. And I'm glad to have it back now. So,
That's really good though that you're back in the office. I'm still working from home, and I know Lane. He's got he's working every day, just about in person. But it definitely changes the whole vibe of your work process and the workflow. Working at home compared to working in the office and having other people around to kind of bounce ideas off of or can quickly communicate. So, but that's good that you're back in it and that things are picking up and that hadn't been any big issues coming out of this.
right.
Yeah. So actually, fun fact, I got COVID. Well, it's an unfun fact. I would recommend getting it, but I had to self quarantine this past 2 weeks. And it was a different atmosphere. At first I was like, okay, I needed some rest, but then I was like, man, I just am about to lose my mind staying at home, not having human interaction with, just coworkers. And the minute I got back, I was like, yeah, I miss this. This is like, it's a lot different just being by yourself, not doing anything versus, being productive especially with your coworkers. So yeah, it's totally different atmosphere for sure.
Right. So from that, as we're kind of talking about 2020 in general, the way that this year has been, what are some highlights or even maybe some lowlights, which, I mean, you kind of mentioned COVID, so that's kind of a low light there, but what are some of the highlights and the best things that have come out of the year for you guys as we are kind of coming towards the end of all of this?
Yeah. So for me, man, it's been like a roller coaster. Started off the year, Danielle and I went on a cruise, came back to we got back, like we slid into home, like barely safe, like, because the minute we got back, the craziest thing where we realized, oh, this is for real, is we had to go to the store to get toilet paper. Like we legit needed it and it was out and we're like, what the heck? Like, what is happening? This is ridiculous. Like we legit need it. So we had to go like buy it from Chancho down the road for like $15. I was like, well, we needed it. So going from a cruise to realizing, oh, this is serious. Also I left one of my jobs to pursue another job at a broker firm. And after a month, they shut down. And I was like, wow. I was like, well, what is happening? To where then a Chick-fil-A grand opening happened, and we just so happened to hit it off with the owner. And he was like, yeah, I want to like treat you and Danielle really well. And I was like, I guess this was a blessing in disguise. It was God's plan. And then since then it's been, biscuits and gravy until I actually got COVID. So like I said, it's been up and down, but I think it's starting to level itself out and everything's working well now in my favor.
That's really good. What about you, Mobley?
I think the highlight of my 2020 was at the beginning of this year. I got to go to Colorado and learn to snowboard, which was something that I had been wanting to do for a really long time. And I went to Colorado whenever I was a little kid, like maybe 3 or 4 years old, and I did ski school for children. So I remembered none of that. And I went back to Colorado this year for the first time, and I took up snowboarding and had lots of fun doing that. So
Snowboarding.
go. What'd you say there?
Snowboarding is great. I got to do that for a few years in high school and college. Really fun stuff. Yeah. It's not easy to learn for sure.
No,
like it's
especially not if there's not any snow. It's really hard to do.
Exactly. I mean, have you ever tried to snowboard without snow? I haven't.
I am embarrassed to say I have. So you learn from real application. So
sometimes you got to learn things the hard way.
Exactly.
Well, for me, so a low light was definitely getting my Disneyland trip with my family canceled. Literally the day before they shut down Disney World or Disneyland, which I've mentioned a few times on this show, but that was like the one big vacation we were looking forward to, and it was back in March, so it was kind of like still up in the air of whether we could go or not, but then we kind of had no choice once they finally shut it down. So it's like, well, that's done. And then here we are, 6 or 7 months later, and the biggest thing I would say, like the highlight, would have to be going on an anniversary trip with my wife over to Oklahoma. So something like super simple and close nearby, over near the Beavers Bend area. Got to spend a whole weekend down there and just kind of be away from everything, away from all of the news, away from just all the madness going on. And that was really neat to kind of just be out in the woods, camping in a cabin, but kind of putting the phone away, putting away everything that this year has brought to us, and just kind of experiencing the outdoors and being there with each other, and it just all the things that come with that. I think that was probably the best thing to come out of this year, was just that much needed vacation that I didn't get to get. But yeah, if you haven't been to that area, I highly recommend it. It's really, really cool. A bunch of little small towns that kind of surround the Beavers Bend Park. There's a lot of things you could do, like hiking and shopping, and a lot of good food there. Shout out to the Grateful Dead pizza. We had that like 2 or 3 times in a row. It was that good. But or Grateful Head, sorry, not Grateful Dead. That's the band.
Right. Which, I mean, they're good too, though. So don't discredit them.
If you can eat Grateful Head pizza and then listen to the Grateful Dead at the same time, then I think you've reached another level. So
yeah, that's a peak for sure.
But yeah, so yeah, that's 2020 for you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this year?
Ooh, I'd have to say 2 out of 10. Would not recommend to a friend.
Okay.
But I mean, they had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So right now, I'd say it's a 6 or 7, because I mean, now that the holidays are coming up, so I mean, people are starting to get excited.
Right, and yeah, the scale could go up or down depending on how it's been, but definitely, yeah, it started out as a 2, and it's definitely gotten better. What about you, Mobley? Scale 1.
I'd say this year's been about 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Yeah,
that's fair. Middle of the road.
Does anybody wish that they had bought the extended warranty back in January?
No.
Okay.
There's no fixing this.
Exactly. It wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Definitely not a factory defect, I would say.
Well, no, my luck, I would have got the extended warranty, went in and be like, oh, that actually expired a month ago. And be like, oh, great. Well, that's perfect. So